Welcome back to the FreeMelon Society. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me once again. My name is Eli Martyr. So, we all know the deal, okay? The best diet for a human being is a whole raw food diet composed primarily of fruits and, if desired, supplementary vegetables or nuts and seeds, okay? Whole raw foods that are compatible with your physiology and your biology, that you can eat in their natural form without any type of processing or changing or mixing or whatnot to hide their flavor or any of that kind of stuff, okay? That is the best kind of diet that you can have. If you stick to a high fruit diet, high carbohydrate fruit diet with supplements, if desired, of nuts and seeds, especially in a transition phase, or leafy green vegetables, you will be extremely healthy. You'll heal from disease, you'll get energy back, you'll lose weight, your health will just generally improve, especially if you're coming from a diet of basically anything else in the world of, conventional eating. Okay. However, the question I get a lot, Eli, I want to get very, very healthy, I want to eat raw foods, but I do occasionally want cooked foods. I'm just not ready to give up those cooked foods yet. Is there a way that I can incorporate cooked foods into my plan and still be very, very healthy and whatnot? The answer, of course, is yes, right? Health is a continuum. The more you put yourself on the side of the highest form of health and vitality, the more you will reflect that, right? And of course, the opposite extreme is the opposite extreme. So yes, you can add cooked foods if that is your choice, right? It is not the ideal, but you can certainly achieve a very, very healthy state of being even with the addition of some cooked foods. The very process of cooking foods is a destructive process. It destroys the food that you're eating, and it makes it more difficult on your system to digest and absorb nutrients from those foods. Much more difficult than it would be in digesting a raw food or a raw fruit or whatnot. For the purpose of this video, if you must eat cooked food, then you want to do it in the way that I'm going to prescribe to you. Okay? So yes, if you choose, you can eat cooked foods, but you have to be very mindful about the way you do it, because you just have to do this with the understanding that it is not ideal. If you're being honest with yourself, you have to recognize that Mother Nature didn't design one species out of 8 million, to need foods that are destroyed before they go into common sense, if you're being honest with yourself, will tell you that. But if you are to do it, yes, you can still do it in a way that is still quite healthy and quite health sustaining, and will do it in a way that you can still avoid sickness and disease and all this kind of stuff. Okay? So here is a list of different types of food prep that require no oils, no seasonings, no stimulating additions, no time commitments, right? This is very important. Go onto YouTube and type in simple meal, simple vegan meal, simple plant-based meal, right? You're gonna get a lot of stuff and a lot of, pretty interesting stuff, but they whip out all sorts of different ingredients and sauces and whatnot. For what is supposed to be easy meal prep. Okay, no, I've considered myself the reigning king of simplicity. And in keeping with that title, here is a list of cooked food ideas that you can use if you are looking to transition to raw foods, or if you want to have that healthy mix of raw and cooked foods in your life. Just wanted to add a really, really quick note to this video, because I know that it's going to come up somewhere in the comments is going to say, oh, you're reintroducing cooked food into your diet instead of So to address that right away, someone's always going to misinterpret. This does not mean that I am reincorporating cooked food into a staple of my particular diet. This video is for you. This is me trying to cater to as many people as possible and help as many people as possible, because I know that we are all on different stages. And because most people still do eat cooked food, then these are the ways that I am suggesting that you use cooked food in the least damaging way possible, okay? Meal number 1, sweet potatoes or oriental yams, roasted oriental yams or roasted sweet potatoes with a side of lettuce or any other leafy green vegetable you like. Now, this is a little note on tubers, on the different types of tubers, because with cooked food, what we're interested in is the taste, right? We want it to taste as good as possible, because we don't want to be using all sorts of other stimulating mixes and salts and whatnot, because it's just not conducive to good health. So you want to prepare these foods so that obviously they taste good, so that you want to keep eating them. I found that the best way to prepare potatoes or any of the other tubers or whatnot is by dry roasting them. By dry roasting them, the flavors tend to concentrate in that way that you don't really get with steaming. With steaming, you still get a lot of the water, going into the vegetable and kind of diluting, not really diluting the taste, but it's just that the flavor is much more powerful when you dry roast. So here's how you do this. You grab the potato. You'll see some recipes that call for poking holes with a fork in the potato all over. You want to go a bit further than that. Grab a knife and make like 10, 12, whatever, how many slices along the potato, all along the potato, a quarter of the depth of the potato, right? You make those slices all on one side, flip it over, do the same thing to the other side, making these long slices on each side. Okay, and then you put that in the oven and you roast for whatever it is, 420 degrees, for about 45 minutes to an hour. If you cook a sweet potato or an oriental yam like that, the taste will be so fantastic that you will definitely not need any sort of flavoring. And then, of course, you always want to combine a starch with a leafy green vegetable. Prepare your potato in that way and have a nice side of lettuce. And, that's a simple meal. No seasonings or anything necessary. Just take the potatoes out of the oven, open them up, and then eat them with your side of lettuce, however you see fit. The next meal on our list, Brussels sprouts and pistachios. So again, very simple meal prep. And so I have to apologize, I don't have elaborate videos and whatnot to show you, because I just don't do these meals so often that I have, all this footage to show you. I'll try and flash some images on the screen. But anyway, yeah, slice your Brussels sprouts in half, throw them in the steamer, and then steam them for about 5 minutes or so, or longer, depending on how soft you like your Brussels sprouts. Take them out of the steamer, throw some pistachios in the bowl, and eat. There you go. There's your meal. Boom, done. Again, you can also add leafy greens to this. You can also add a side of lettuce and stir that in the mix as well. It's a fantastic meal. Tastes amazing. No seasonings, no oil, no herbs, no whatever needed. Just eat that as it is, and it's a fantastic and quite hearty meal. The next meal on our list, we're going back to medieval methods of food preparation for this one. This meal is onion. Just onion. All you have to do is you grab onions, as many as you want. Let's just say 5 onions, okay? Don't take them out of the shell, or don't take them out of that outside covering of the onion. Just exactly as they are, just put them on the baking sheet and throw them in the oven, and then let them roast. So you roast your onion for about half an hour on regular cooking heat, 400 degrees, 420 degrees, around there. Roast them for about 30 minutes, take them out of the oven, and then they'll be a bit hot, so you just have to wait a little bit. But then just, remove the outermost covering, mix it up or cut it up however you like, or not. But as soon as you remove that outer covering, eat it. Just plain roasted onion is quite delicious. You do not need any sort of seasoning whatsoever. This is probably the most brutally simple cooked meal on this list. Aside from sweet potato. Sweet potato, you can do the same thing. You don't need the veggie. You can just roast a sweet potato and eat it, and that's a fantastic meal. But roasted onion by itself is not something as common, and trust me, you want to try this if you are eating cooked food. Roasted onion also goes very well with virtually any meal right? So any meal, whether it's raw veggies or with the sweet potatoes, this goes very, very, very well together. Okay, the next meal on this list, not really a meal on its own, but if you're trying to get over, the stimulation of salt and pepper in your meals, this is a good way to do it. Mushrooms. Mushrooms, now after you wash them and clean them properly, if you throw mushrooms in the pot and you start cooking them, mushrooms release so much water when you cook them, and that water is like super concentrated with that savory type of mushroom essence. You can cook stuff with mushrooms and you don't need anything because the flavor is all there already. So for that reason, mushrooms can be a great option for you in your transition to raw foods, or if you just want to eat the occasional cooked food. Adding cooked mushrooms to your sweet potato dish. These cooked mushrooms go very, very well as a complementary side to your sweet potatoes. So if you have your sweet potato, slice it open and then put some of these cooked mushrooms inside. Oh man. So any sauteed vegetables that you do, if you use a good deal of mushrooms, then you won't need any other seasonings in the mix because the mushrooms release all that really flavorful water, and that's all you need to have the other vegetables in your saute soak in and cook very, very nicely. So if that helps you, then use that. Next meal on our list, butternut squash and broccoli, steamed broccoli. Very, very tasty. They go together very nicely. You can prepare the butternut squash in the same way that you prepared the sweet potatoes. The thing with butternut squash is they tend to be a bit bigger than sweet potatoes. If you cut it in half and then wrap it in a parchment paper and then put that in the oven and set that to roast, that's one of the best ways to prepare a butternut squash. And then with the broccoli, you just steam your broccoli, 3 minutes, 5 minutes in the steamer, take it out, that's it. So roast your butternut squash about 40 minutes or so, and then add some steamed broccoli. Steamed broccoli takes 2 seconds on the steamer, and that's it. You can cut up your cooked squash and add it to the broccoli, chop them all up, add them in the bowl, or just keep them separate and kind of spoon each one, or whatever you want. They go well together, so, try it out and have at it. This next meal is probably the most complex that these meals will get for my purposes, but a portobello mushroom lettuce wrap. What you're going to do is you're going to get portobello mushroom caps and you're going to lay them on your baking sheet. You need to have, you can do this with whatever kind of sauce you want, but just some crushed tomatoes or any kind of strained tomato, organic strained tomatoes, no ingredients added, just strained tomatoes, and coat the portobello mushroom with those tomatoes, with those strained tomatoes. So you coat them. You can add green onions if you want. You can add something, but once you've coated all of your portobello mushrooms with these strained tomatoes or crushed tomatoes, whatever you prefer, you put them in the oven and you roast them for about 12 to 15 minutes on 400 degrees or lower, depending on what your preference is. Take the portobello mushrooms out, and then you're going to wrap them in a leaf of lettuce. So with a head of lettuce, if you just remove the bottom portion of the head of lettuce, there are YouTube tutorials on this. You don't need me for that. There's lots of tutorials on how to get a good cup for a lettuce wrap. So just YouTube how to get a lettuce wrap and you'll find it. So just take your portobello mushroom cap, put it inside the lettuce and wrap it up, and then as a sandwich you eat it. It's very, very, very tasty. That's a good treat. That is the most complicated it's going to get for this video. And the last item on this list, cooked apples with banana. The banana you don't need to cook. You can leave that on its own. All you need to do is crush those up in a bowl, and it's the apples that you're going to cook. So you throw the apples in a pot. Don't add water. Don't add anything like that. The apples are going to, like the mushrooms, release their own water, and that's going to be more concentrated in flavor, which is better for your taste buds. So you're going to put the apples in a pot, put them on the stovetop, and then cook them until the consistency is as you desire. Add them into the bowl of crushed bananas, stir it up, and enjoy. Very, 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 very tasty meal. Some people want to add a little bit of maple syrup to that, and it'll definitely taste sweet. It'll be good. So that's something you can do if you want to add something to it, but it's not necessary. You can just eat it as is. So just some closing thoughts to keep in mind with cooked foods. When you are cooking your food or when you're eating any meal, simplicity is always best, and it is always easier on your body. Especially, pay attention to this, especially if you're cooking food. you do not want to be combining too many cooked foods together in one meal. The only exception to mixing different types of cooked foods are cooked starchless vegetables. So if you're steaming broccoli, for example, yeah, you can have steamed broccoli with a tuber or a root or a grain or whatever it is. So whatever that starch is, mix it with starchless vegetables or a cooked starch vegetable like like a broccoli or cauliflower or whatever. But ideally, you only want to be eating one particular thing. So, what's the best meal? The 2-item combo is probably, the best way to go for the cooked meal. The sweet potato and some lettuce. The roasted onion and some sprouts or something. That is a good cooked meal. Okay, so keep simplicity in mind when you make these meals. And if you keep that in mind, then go nuts with your creativity, do whatever you want. Avoid the salt, avoid the pepper. Always try to use items that, once prepared properly, don't need any extraneous flavors added to them, right? Always try to avoid that. You want to sensitize your taste buds to being able to recognize the natural flavors in foods. You don't want to be adding stimulating compounds and concoctions, right? Because it's not ideal. It's not entirely health promoting to do that. But anyway, I hope that helped you guys. Thank you so much for joining me here once again on the FreeMelon Society. Subscribe to the channel if you have not done that before. Give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful, and we will see you next time here on the FreeMelon Society.